Hey guys, I'm super excited to be talking to you guys today about the book Supermarket. I know I said I was going to make a review on the book, and I finally finished it. I read it, and I also listened to the audiobook, and I listened to the album soundtrack for this book. So I'm glad to be able to give you a full rounded review on all three of those. And of course I had to wear I actually have a t-shirt with Logic on it, even though you can't really see it fully in the video. I went to go see Logic in concert. I think he was performing up in Chico a few years ago. I went with some of my friends, and I am a Logic fan. I don't like every single thing that he comes out with, but I'm not his number one biggest fan in the world, but I do like his music. And when I heard that he was going to be writing a book, and it was already out actually when I heard about it, I immediately went to the store the next day, picked it up, I went to Target, and I also got the audiobook from Audible, and I kind of just went back and forth listening to both of those. When I first heard about it, I was really intrigued, but I didn't have super high expectations because he hasn't written a book before. This is his debut book, so yeah, I just didn't really have super high expectations because I just wanted to enjoy it for what it was. Because he has such a big audience and a big influence and a lot of fans, he can get people to read a book that maybe weren't so interested in reading before, and maybe will help spark some people's interest and fall in love with reading too. So I really enjoyed that. So as you probably know, this book is written by Bobby Hall, whose rapper name is Logic. This is his debut novel. It's supposed to be a psychological thriller, but more on the funnier satirical side than a super serious novel. We're following our main character. He's I can't remember his exact age. I want to say early 20s, young adult, white male. His name's Flynn, and he gets a job at a supermarket. He's living at home with his mom. He's just been dumped recently by his girlfriend, so he gets a job there. I can't really say too much more about the plot without ruining, giving away some of the major plot points. On Goodreads, this book has an average rating of 3.49, and when I rated it myself when I finished it, I gave it altogether a 3 out of 5 stars. On the whole, the story isn't super original. There's nothing that's really groundbreaking in it itself, but it was still entertaining, which is why I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I feel if the author hadn't been Logic and he wasn't as big as he is of an artist, then this book definitely would not be getting a quarter of the hype that it's gotten. It's because his name is tied to this whole project is the reason why it's just become such a big thing, and that's how I heard about it. But even though I feel that way, I feel for his debut book, it wasn't bad, and I would definitely be interested in reading anything else that he comes out with if he decides to write another book. So like I mentioned before, I want to talk about the audiobook and the book and the soundtrack. So first I'm going to talk about the book itself and what I liked about it. I liked how it's getting people to read that might not normally have been interested in picking up a book. I like how interesting and different and creative, and how he's just trying to do something that I hadn't heard of having happened before. Like I mentioned, having a soundtrack for a book, I hadn't heard of that before, but now I hope it's opened up ways for other people to use that as a way to just enhance the whole overall reading experience. While I was able to predict a lot of the plot twists, which I will get into in a minute, and the stuff I didn't like, there were still a couple plot points that happened that I didn't see coming, so that helped it to be a bit more entertaining. Okay, so now on to the cons of what I didn't really like about this book. I figured out a major plot point very early on in the book, but I thought that what happened was going to be the ending, and what I thought happened actually only happened about a third of the way in. So I was glad, so I was still able to, because I didn't really know exactly what was going to happen after that. So there was still a good chunk of the book where I didn't really know what was going to happen, even though some stuff was still kind of predictable within that. I'm not sure if you're supposed to be able to figure that plot twist out that happens kind of in that first third right away, or if I just don't know if you're supposed to or not, but I did, and I feel I never can figure out what's going to happen next in books, and so I was kind of just I feel I don't like it when I can figure out. I like to be surprised. But I could see how if you're someone who doesn't read a lot, and especially who doesn't read a lot of thrillers and things like that, then maybe it would be more surprising for you, and someone like that would enjoy this book more. I just read a lot of books, so I feel a lot of the tropes and things in this book are stuff that I've seen repeated a lot. Okay, the second major thing that I really did not like in the book is that there is a huge amount of cussing, and I mean, In his albums, he does cuss a lot on his music, and I prefer to listen to the clean versions of his albums. But obviously there's no clean version of the book, so yeah, that was something. I just feel like it was so much, and to the point that it didn't really add anything to the overall like enjoyment or plot of the book. It kind of just seemed like a lazy way to add more words into the book. Yeah, overall, just the amount of cursing in the book was just really unnecessary in my opinion. And another thing I didn't like was I felt like the ending was kind of just trying a little too much to be more than it was. Like, I don't know, I just wasn't that crazy about the ending. It was just alright. This is why I gave the book 3 out of 5. I feel like overall the book could have worked better as a movie, and I feel like if they made it into a movie, it would probably be pretty entertaining. I mean, I feel like it's overall the concept of the book is something that it has been done time and again, and a lot of other reviewers that I was reading on Goodreads have compared it to other books that kind of did the same thing, but I haven't read those other books before. Okay, so next I want to talk to you guys about the audiobook. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but I know it wasn't too long. It was something like 6 hours. It was a really short audiobook. This isn't a long book, which is good because if it had been longer, it would have felt too dragged out. I really like that Logic narrates the audiobook himself, and I just always love when an author narrates their own audiobook, and it's cool to see him do like the different voices for the different characters that are in the book and like the different accents that he puts on. Another thing I liked about the audiobook was that each chapter kind of opened up with a piece of like instrumental music, a short clip, and I'm pretty sure each of the clips, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but each of the clips was instrumental from a song that was on the Supermarket soundtrack. Overall, I have no complaints about the audiobook itself. Like, it was a really well produced audiobook, and I enjoyed listening to it on audiobook. I would say the majority of the book I did listen to on audiobook as opposed to reading the physical copy that I had bought. Okay, now on to the album itself. The Supermarket soundtrack album. The genre of music on this album is a complete 180 from the kind of music that he does before, because you know he's very known for doing like hip-hop and rap is his like main thing. Sometimes he kind of includes a little bit of pop stuff into it, like, but not a ton. This was just completely 180. This was more alternative music, kind of like indie. I could definitely see this being the soundtrack for an indie film, and obviously like if this book was made into a movie, I would definitely expect to see a lot of or a majority of these songs on the movie soundtrack or like featured in the film. And I know a lot of people complain because they say like, oh, this doesn't sound anything like music that Logic has made before, and it's true, but it's not necessarily. I feel like it's not intended to be his music. It's meant to be the soundtrack to this book. It's not like his next studio album. Like, he has another album I think that's going to be coming out that's in his style, but this was him just trying something different, which I feel like artists and musicians should be able to try different kinds of music and just see, like, just because you make one kind of music doesn't mean you're banned from even trying to do anything else. I would say like the actual beats of each song are really nice. You know, I enjoyed like the different like guitar, piano, and drum instrumentals that are on the track, but I will say that they were a little bit generic, a little bit bland. A lot of the songs really didn't stand out for me. Honestly, there was only about 4 songs that I could say that I really enjoyed off of the album. The rest weren't bad, but they were just okay, a little bit forgettable. I kind of want to go through title by title real quick with you guys and just give like my 1 sentence thought about each of the songs so we can see if you have listened to it. I want to know, like, which songs did you guys like? Did you like hate any of them? Did you love any of them? Did anything stand out to you about the album? While I was listening to this soundtrack, because I listened to the thing through completely like twice, and I listened to a couple of the other songs just randomly, and I would kind of try to listen to the lyrics and see how they connected to the book itself. And I feel like sometimes I could see direct connections, and sometimes I was kind of confused, like if it was supposed to be just like a regular song. I didn't really see for every song how it directly connected to the book, but maybe that's just me. Altogether, there are 14 songs on the album. So when I first actually started listening to the album before I had bought in the book, and when I first started listening to it, I was like blown away. I really was enjoying the first couple of songs on the album, and I'm not the only one that felt this way. Like, I've talked to my friends about it, and they all felt like the album started off so strong, but then it kind of just, I don't know, like it started out with some really strong songs, but then there's just a whole bunch of weaker songs that I like just don't really remember that well, that kind of brought it down. I haven't been that crazy about Logic's last couple albums, some of the stuff that he's been doing, so I hadn't listened to Logic in a long time actually. And when I had seen this album had come out on my iTunes app, that's like kind of what got me into getting into this whole supermarket thing to begin with. The album opens with Bohemian Rhapsody, and I love that song. It was one of my favorites, one of the top 4. And then we get the next song is Can I Kick It, and it's featuring Judo, and another one I really love. I hadn't heard of Judo before, but his voice is beautiful, and I definitely want to check out more music of his because I hadn't heard of him, and I really enjoyed his vocals on that track. There's some opening like guitar notes on that song that just really made me so happy. I really wanted to play like a clip of each of the songs as I talk about them, but then I don't want to get like in trouble for copyright or anything, so you guys can just like look up the album and check the songs out yourself as I talk about them. Okay, then the next song after that was Time Machine, which I thought was just okay, not really that great. I felt like the drum and guitar beat though kind of gave me a little bit of nostalgia. I don't know why, it kind of just gave me a little bit of like early 2000s vibes, so it wasn't a bad song. After that we have Pretty Young Girl. This one was not bad. The beats, like the actual beats and instrumental part I liked, but the lyrics on it I felt were just kind of cheesy. And side note, I was talking about this and one of my coworkers had said how the album made him feel uncomfortable because he feels like he said the word girl in like every song way too many times, and I didn't notice, but once he said that, like, yeah, I kind of noticed it more now. Like if you listen to the album, he says the word girl in it so many times that I don't know why. I don't know if that's like a good or bad thing. It's just something that I noticed, and then now I can't not notice it since it was like brought to my attention. After that we have this title song Supermarket, and honestly that one was a little bit forgettable. I don't really remember that song. After that there's Baby, which is a remake of the song Just a Friend by Biz Markie. I think that one came out in like, I don't know, I can't remember the exact year, but it's the older song, and I love that song and I like the remake. It's the 4th song on the album that I actually really liked. I think just because I already knew the lyrics to it and it's like more of a nostalgic song and it's a song I already liked, so I already just liked this remake of it. After that there's By the Bridge, which was just okay. Best Friend, which was the same. It was not bad, it was just okay. Then after that we have a more upbeat song, Lemondrop, and this one was like super upbeat, and honestly the first time I heard it I hated it and I just really just did not like this song. But I listened to it a couple times and I will say my opinion hasn't changed that much. I don't hate it, but I'm just still not crazy about it. Like honestly, probably all but the 4 songs that I really liked I'm probably gonna delete off of my phone because I don't want them to come up in my shuffle because I know I'll just end up skipping through them. After that there's I'm Probably Gonna Rock Your World, which was again another one that was just okay. Then there's Vacation from Myself, which was the same. It was okay, just a bit forgettable as well. And then there's DeLorean, which I once again really liked the instrumental and beat of that, but overall the song itself was just okay. The last song on the album is I Love You Forever. Again, another just okay song, kind of forgettable. I wish the album would have closed with a better song to end on a better note instead of something so forgettable. So yeah, that's my complete review of the album. I'm not gonna really give it a star rating because I feel like if I averaged how many stars I gave each song, probably the average would be maybe around like 2.5 stars maybe, just because yeah, like I said, there was only the 4 songs that I really actually liked. And so let me know if there was any songs that you guys liked on that album, or if I don't know, some people say like completely just hated the album. Some of my friends really liked the whole thing and they were into the whole thing. So I feel like it just depends on kind of what your music taste is already going into it, just because it's already just so different from Logic stuff. Like people who are really purists are like, this sounds nothing like him, so I hate it. I feel like you're valid to have that if that's your opinion, but I disagree. And I'm really glad though. This was like a really cool experience, being able to experience a book in all these different types of formats and outlets, and I really enjoyed it. And looking back on it, like I hope that other artists or other creators like do stuff like this, that because it really just helps in the end to build up the book community, because it gets more people talking about stuff that's going on and interested and wanting to check out different books and stuff. So those are my complete thoughts on Supermarket. Let me know what you guys think. Was it good or not? Even if you just only read the book or only listened to the album, let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in another video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Bye.